once more into breach.
Ready, Kels? Or is it still counting down? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Board of County Commissioners meeting. I am going to ask Clerk Greg James to come up and give the invocation, please.
Follow that pledge.
Followed by the pledge.
All right, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the wonderful day that we're able to enjoy, all of the wonderful blessings that come with it. We thank you for your providential care over us in our daily lives. We realize, Father, there are many in our community that are suffering and struggling at this time, losing loved ones, and we just ask for your loving guidance upon each of those families. We thank you for the wonderful county that we're able to live in, and we pray that decisions will be made with wisdom tonight so that we can all continue to enjoy the place we live. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, the first step tonight is an approval of the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? On citizens to be heard, there is a 3-minute time limit. There will not be any discussion from commissioners, and if you want to fill out a speaker card, go see Ms. Welch, and you have 3 chances to do this. And now we will move right into public.
Citizens to be heard.
Thanks, Cindy. Mr. David Damon.
Speak me first. I got handouts for everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
David Damon, Crawfordville. So what I just handed out were these photos, these pictures right here. They're architectural renderings. And this was a vision for the county about 10 years ago. And this was what the hope was to make Crawfordville look like. And what I want to talk about is the lack of vision we now seem to be actually implementing. In our commercial development, it is pretty hideous. We are looking like one long strip mall. Hungry Howie's that's going in now. The car wash next to Hungry Howie's, over and over again. They're going in and clear cutting. They're not paying attention to the tree ordinance, it doesn't seem like, or if they are, it's a token little nod to it. But this was the vision from commissioners 10 years ago. And I want to know, how do we get back to this? Because we're rapidly losing that window of opportunity to make this happen. And I know it's a lot of work. It's easy to let developers have their way, come in here, clear cut everything, do it right on the highway, put a few bushes of little box plants, and call it a day and collect their taxes. But you guys need to have the vision to do quality development in Crawfordville before it's too late. It's almost too late. It may be too late. But I think there's a chance that this can be turned around. And it takes work. It's going to take a lot of work on y'all's part. It's not an easy thing to do. But these developers coming to this county, they need you. You don't need them. Y'all can be picking and choosing. You don't have to just say, hey, y'all all come, we're going to just make it all really sick for you. We're going to grease the skids, and y'all come right in here and do whatever you want. And that seems to be what's happening. Y'all need to draw the line in the sand, have a vision, and say, no. In South Florida, you look at what they're doing. I don't know what our Publix will look like, but Publixes elsewhere in the state, some of them are beautiful because the county demands it. You guys need to demand more because we're looking pretty crummy. I mean, we're in a race with Perry to see who's going to look more like the strip mall, just nonstop, just junk. And I think it's horrible. We can do better. So that's my point tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Davis.
Right.
Greg Davis, I live in Crawfordville. I had a lot of threads that we're seeing on Facebook, and you know how those things can go. But I'm going to want to talk about impact fees. Based on Wakulla County's impact fee study, the latest one that was done in 2011, from 1996 to 2009, the county generated $7,008,310 in impact fees. That's what we do. Now, we've asked questions, why can't impact fees be used? Well, the answers have been given. They're so hard to spend. If you build something for $100,000 and you can only use 10% of impact fees, well, I've got our impact fee, actual ordinance, and then I got the Florida statute of the impact fee. And nowhere in that does it have a percentage that you can and cannot use for capital infrastructure. Okay? But the second line from the Florida Impact Fee Act, it states, the legislature finds that the impact fees are an important source of revenue for a local government to use in funding the infrastructure necessitated by new growth. Let me say that. The legislature finds that the impact fees are an important source of revenue for a local government to use in funding the infrastructure necessitated by new growth. And it seems like any time that I talk, the most people I've talked to is you, Mr. Kemp, and then Mr. Thomas about impact fees. And when I talk to them, they're like, well, it's just not fair to have somebody having to pay taxes on a $350,000 house whenever you bought your house for $200,000, you had to pay taxes on that. Yes, we had impact fees. Back in 2008, had impact fees. That was just the cost of doing business in 2008. The actual ordinance 2011-1, on December 8, 2009, the Board of County Commissioners stated, a decline in construction projects within the county impacts all local industries that are dependent upon growth such as construction, manufacturing, and real estate. Whereas a decrease in the number of building permits issued by the county also adversely affects the county's budget. The county commission has determined that local economic conditions have reached a critical point requiring action in order to stimulate the local economy. So at that point, in 2009, they suspended impact fees. Okay? But that stuff has changed now. In the back of the severability clause, it states, if anything in this document is no longer valid, which I don't think we have a real construction problem building in the county anymore, and that's null and void. Was that my 3-minute timer? Okay, well, I'll get close with it. New construction does have an impact on the county. And we're not going after anybody, trying to be mean or anything. It's just the cost of doing business. You know, it's a lot cheaper to buy a car in 2009 than it is in 2021. Okay? The tax is more now than then. Worry about the water, you know. Everybody who's on top of the water gets seized all the time. You know, we're intolerant.
Wrap this up soon, sir?
What's that?
I said, are you going to wrap this up soon?
Yep, I'm wrapping it up right now.
All right, thank you.
I'm all for impact fees. I just want to put it out there on the...
Okay, thank you.
We are losing an important revenue.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
All righty, we're going to move right into public hearings. Heather, would you like me to read everything in black and red to begin with?
And just in red.
Okay. This is the second of 2 required public hearings of the Wacolli County budget for fiscal year 2021/2022. If you wish to speak during the public hearing portion of this meeting, please step forward at the appropriate time. The final aggregate millage rate is 8.4125 mils, which is 8.20% more than the aggregate rolled back millage rate of 7.7746 mils. Now the county administrator will read the final millage rate into the public record.
The proposed Board of County Commissioners of Wacolli County final countywide millage rate is 8.4125 mils, which is 8.20% more than the countywide rolled back millage rate of 7.7746 mils.
I'm opening up the floor for a motion to begin the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
At this time, the individuals that have turned in a speaker card can speak.
Let's go ahead and vote on the motion to open the public hearing, and then we can take speakers.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to public speakers. David Damon.
Have a motion? Just to open the public hearing.
So, we ready? David Damon Crawford. So this gentleman nailed it right in the head, impact fees. If we've been collecting those all this time, all these years since we quit collecting them, we might not be in this position today to be having to raise taxes. And I keep hearing, oh, we can only cover 10%, but 10% is a lot of money and it adds up over the years. Now, if we were to, y'all have heard me say this before, down in Seminole County, they just went from $12,000 per home to $19,000 per home in impact fees. We charge nothing. Now, I don't know what some of these commissioners, you guys think you know that they don't know, but I think they know about development down there. So, now, a lot of this impact fee money could be used to help these guys in uniform here. The first responders, they get a large bit of that impact fee money. It can be used for them. The libraries can use it. It can be used to improve roads. There's a lot of things it can be used for that you're funding with other revenue right now to the general fund that would help us to be able to keep the taxes down. I don't have any problem with the taxes being raised. That's not the issue here. But I think it's negligent to allow the impact fees not to be charged. And what you're basically doing is you are charging all the current citizens of this county for new development. They're subsidizing all this new development. If it weren't for all this new development, you wouldn't need to hire more people. That's the bottom line here. So the current homeowners, taxpayers in this county are subsidizing new development. Most builders would not mind tacking that on. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt them, so I don't know what the adversity or what you're so worried about doing impact fees, something reasonable, you know, and I don't mean $500. I'm not talking about that. It needs to be something substantial. But it's time. I mean, we're busting at the seams. Just think, if every home had to pay $5,000, what that would add to the coffers for this county. It's huge, and it would help these guys out. So that's what I want to say about raising the taxes. Impact fees, impact fees, impact fees. And it's negligent not to be charging them. And the people coming here are the ones that are using these services, and that they should be the ones paying for this. And they could be helping out the whole county. So we shouldn't be subsidizing new development. And we're all tired of that. And I think that's why so many people are here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Eugene Watkins.
Eugene Watkins, Crawfordville, and I'm going to talk about impact fees too. A portion of our property tax and utility tax is currently used to pay for infrastructural needs of new development. This will continue to be the case here in Waculla County until this commission implements impact fees on new development. Tax money used for infrastructure required for new homes only benefits the developers. I have a few examples where tax dollars and fee increases were spent on infrastructure that only benefited new development. Tax dollars that could have been spent as promised for paving roads in old neighborhoods. Here's some examples. Installation of the roundabout on East Island Road. This was not needed until Chadwick Estates and other developments were permitted in the vicinity of Chadwick Estates. There has been a tremendous increase in traffic over there. Alignment of Wooden Lake Road and East Island Road. Again, tax money being spent for needs of new development. Before recent new development, there was no need to realign Wooden Lake Road. Alignment of Cage Posey and East Island Road. Again, this only benefits the developers who are building next to those roads. Citizens wouldn't need it if those weren't being built. The 15% increase to monthly sewer bills. Again, this is an increased benefit to developers by paying for new sewer facilities needed by the developments. In all cases, impact fees would help pay for growth and reduce the need for tax increases or fee increases. Now let's be clear, impact fees will not reduce taxes and fee increases. Well, let's be clear, impact fees will reduce tax and fee increases for development, but will not eliminate the need for tax increases entirely.
Our county administrator said that using BP money to build more sewer infrastructure resulted in a smaller increase in citizens' monthly sewer bill. However, BP money is intended to mitigate pollution and should be used to make our existing infrastructure cleaner, not build new infrastructure for developers. Impact fees on developments would free up the BP money for its intended pollution mitigation purpose. I have heard commissioners say we lose tax dollars when land becomes public land. Well, we may not collect more tax dollars from vacant land, but there's no new infrastructure costs to the citizens. We need to have a study so we can find out how much growth is costing the citizens and then set impact fees to cover those costs. Costs that soon will include building a second high school. And somebody mentioned, how much, if we say we set a $2,000 impact fee, I think I calculated that would add $6 a month to your 30-year mortgage, but somebody else could do some further calculations as well. We need that study. So please implement impact fees for new construction, and let's stop subsidizing growth with citizens' hard-earned money. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any discussion by the board?
Oh, yeah. I was opposed to this before, and I'm opposed to the progressive nature of putting this on the PST. Last time we had the discussion, Ralph, our chairman, said that 40% of the people in the county don't pay ad valorem taxes. Well, that's not accurate, and I called him, said it that night. The actual number is 8.4% of our county they do not pay ad valorem taxes. Those are people with houses of value of less than $25,000. These are the poor, these are the low-income seniors that are on fixed income, and they can't afford a lot more money. And what we're doing by changing the ad valorems to and increasing the PST is that for the 8.4, the lowest, the people that, there's a correlation between how much money you have and how much your house is worth. And what we're doing with this calculation is we're increasing on the poorest people in the county. Their tax bill is going to go up 34%. Somebody that's has a $50,000 house, that kind of income, their tax bill is going to go up 19%. But if you make if you have a $300,000 house, your tax bill is only going to go up 7.7%. So what we're doing is we're basically raising the taxes on the the most needy people in our community to pay for this development, pay for this construction, pay for our basically our business. And I don't think that's the right way to do it. If we'd have taken this and we kept it at the 8.825, which is what county administrator, we would have raised the taxes on the least well-to-do by 23%, and the taxes on the most well-to-do would be around 11%, and an increase of 11%. And that's a much more fairer way to do it.
Is there any more discussion by the board?
I'll wait till we get to the actual millage rate.
Okay.
Same.
Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Florida statutes require the board to adjust the final millage rate before adjusting the final budget. The board must vote on the millage rate and the budget separately. I will now entertain the following motions. Number 1, approve the Board of County Commissioners FY 2021-2022 final countywide millage rate of 8.4125 mils.
Motion to approve the Board of County Commissioners final countywide millage rate of 8.2 mils, not 8.4.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
So we went down, instead of raising 8.4, we went to 8.2. Now what that means is that on our most needy segment of our population, we're going to be charging them 44% increase in their taxes. Our people that are on $50,000 houses are going to get a 23% increase in their in their tax bill. And somebody who's has a $300,000 house, they'll have a 6% increase in their tax bill. That just seems like you're hurting people that really need the money, and you're being very unfair about it.
I'd like to remind you, Chuck, that we have a program for the unfortunate citizens in our county that are very low income. They don't pay for garbage service. It's free. They don't pay for the fire assessment that everybody else pays for. That's free. So, I mean, don't make us out like we're throwing the poor people under the bus. We're not. They certain benefits, they get free garbage service, I pay for it. I think that's compassionate on our part, and we specifically did that when we adopted the solid waste resolution, that the poorest among us would not have to pay for it.
Resolution, but we also, when we put in the PST tax, we had a basic minimum you had to exceed before you started charging PST. And we got rid of that, and that was put in place for those in that same situation. And you've eliminated that. You basically, back then you changed, 3 years ago, you changed that so that we increased the taxes on the poorest, and again, we're doing it again today.
Well, again, I have a lot of respect for you. I'm not saying you're wrong, I just don't agree with you. I think the PST is the fairest way to do it. You don't, I understand that, and that's fine.
And I'm just looking at the effect on their tax bill, okay? And the people that are in the $25,000 house, they can't afford much. You're increasing their tax bill by 44%. That just seems wrong.
Are you referring strictly to the PST? Are you referring across the board?
And there's 3 taxes we're increasing, okay?
I know that.
Okay, and those 3 taxes, the cumulative effect of those 3 taxes is going to be a 44% increase on the people that are in $25,000 or less.
What if you live in Smith Creek and not on sewer?
I'm not talking about sewer. Sewer's a whole different. 3. You have the PST,
MSB.
you have the MSB, the fire services charge.
That's free if you're low income, so you can't count that.
It's free. Not every low-income person, okay?
If they qualify, yes, if they come and sign up.
So, yeah, you really need to take that out. In fact, you need to add that to the other side of the equation, because they're getting it for free. It's not, you can't say you're increasing something they're not paying for it in the first place.
Well, but not all of them get it, okay? And
The examples you're using, Chuck, probably are getting it free. The ones you're saying are the most desperate in the county, they're probably getting it free.
has a possibility. I'm just saying where the taxes are.
Yeah, I'm not argumentative with
the people that are paying the taxes, okay, and what those people are paying is the highest on the poor, most needy. If you just go to the $50,000, they're still paying more taxes than the person that's making has a $300,000 house. Well, increasing their taxes.
Again, so are cigarette taxes, but we're not going to get into that either, so.
Well, we don't actually vote until November, and I wanted to get Brandy explained to this, and then we're voting for the budget about the PST. There's a possibility the PST might not go up, or it could stay where it's at, or it might go up 1% or 1.5%.
You go to 8.2, there's no ways.
Well, but I'm just saying, there's a possibility. I'd like for Brandy to explain that, because this is one of the things that I talked to about earlier, so if you can kind of explain what we talked about.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we're looking at. The public hearing to adopt the PSC rate will be at the November 18th meeting. Right now, we're still collecting revenue for the current fiscal year, and we have a couple more payments to know exactly where we're going to end up, and we have some of our state revenues that are coming in very robust right now, and so we think some of our projections for next year's budget might be a little low, and so once we get those preliminary actual numbers for the current fiscal year, be really early November, we'll have our math nailed down and know exactly what that rate needs to be. At the tentative budget hearing, we talked about that being 10%. I don't see that needing to go, 10% is the maximum rate that you could levy on PSC. We're currently at 7, so we're going to be in between those two numbers, and we've looked at a couple different options, and the lower we go, the more of our cash reserves we spend.
That discussion.
Right, but we will be coming back, and I seriously doubt that we will be asking for that maximum rate of 10.
Which we're not voting on that tonight.
Correct.
We're just simply voting on the millage rate.
But that's the reason I brought it up.
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
if we take our millage down to 8.2, then we're going to have to raise the PSC.
Correct.
So no matter what the number is, it's still going to have the same.
Anything other than, I understand, anything other than 8.8, whatever, we're going to have to raise the PST. I understand. Anyway, that's my motion.
Will you repeat it for me again?
Set the millage rate at 8.2 mils.
Sure.
Instead of the proposed 8.4125.
Okay.
8.20, is that better, Brandy?
8.2 and 3 zeros.
3 zeros. 8.2 thousand.
Don't say that. 8.2000%, that's your motion. There's second. Give me a second.
Mills,
Okay.
or, yeah, mills.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Aye. Passes 3-1. Number 2, approve the Board of County Commissioners fiscal year 2021-2022 final countywide budget as presented by the Administrator on July 14th, 2021, and as amended through the agenda process today.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
You know, I don't have a problem with the budget, I have a problem with how we're getting the money, so that's...
I appreciate that. Now, I wish you would take the issues separately, Chuck. Just pretend in your mind that we're raising the millage rate to 8.8 and then vote on how you feel about the budget. Take how we're paying for it out of the equation, please.
It's difficult to do because I think we're doing the wrong thing as far as...
But you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying.
You disagree with how we're paying for it, not how the money's being spent. And I understand that.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Citizens vote.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Chuck.
Was your,
Yeah, there's no point in, you know...
Okay.
I'm not opposed to the budget, I mean...
So it passes 4-0. Okay, we are moving into number 2 on public hearings.
Give a chance to clear the room. I don't know how many people want to stick around for this.
Do you want to be chair?
No.
Okay. I'm just kidding, Randy.
It's nice earlier.
Something before they leave. I should have done it earlier if it's okay, a statement I don't...
Absolutely, you can.
I'm going to be really brief before everybody leaves where I stood on this budget because I know it's probably one of the hardest decisions that has been made. So basically I wrote my words down to make sure I get my point across. So I'm going to be very brief. 2 months ago, staff presented a budget proposal that would raise the millage rate by 10%. Since that day, I've asked question after question, and they've made change after change to make sure that we're protecting the community and your tax dollars. I'm always in support of first responders and making sure they have the equipment and dollars they need to do their job. But make no mistake, 365 days, I don't want to be in this position again. We need to start looking at working ways to plan that puts money back into the pockets of the taxpayers. And that's my stance on that. Sorry, I should have read it earlier, but...
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for voting on the budget. The ramifications of this budget are tremendous for the men and women that are standing in this room today. I've had folks that were negotiating with the company doing this budget proposal, and they said, if you can pull this off, this will be the most transformational thing that will happen to Waculla County. So I just understand that we all work together, and every one of you deserve the increases that you're getting. And it's been a long time coming, but it's here, and you deserve it, and we appreciate you, and we thank you for all your service and everything that you do, because the citizens that are here, I can tell you this, and I tell them all the time, we have the best of the best. And I'm not saying that because I'm the county administrator. I'm saying it because I work with these folks, and I hate to say this, they're young, they're intelligent, and they're energetic. And now they're going to be in competition with anybody in the state right now, because our benefit package is as good as you're going to get anywhere, and now their pay will be where it's supposed to be so that we can attract and the biggest thing is retain. So, this is transformational. We thank you, commissioners, for approving this, and just thank you guys and ladies for everything that you do.
And I actually agree with David. This is just the start of it. This can't happen again where we waited this long for this. So we need to be thinking out every year to take care of our first responders. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you. Moving into number 2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're requesting board approval to conduct a public hearing and adopt an ordinance that will amend Section 22.303 of the Wakulla County Code of Ordinances relating to the disposition of county-owned real property. As we discussed at our last meeting, this ordinance will allow the county to internally market property as opposed to just solely relying on a real estate broker. If the county staff, through the county administrator office, determines that it's best to market the property internally, they'll be required to post an advertisement in the newspaper of general circulation within the county, which will note the property that is being sold and accept offers for a minimum of 14 days. This notice will also be posted on the county's website for the same period of time, and a for sale or lease sign will be posted on the subject property. And additionally, once something is put on the county website, according to Jessica, the county automatically pushes that out to the interested parties list. That's not specifically set out in here, but that's an internal administrative process that already occurs.
Should approve to conduct the final hearing and adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Anybody have any discussion? I do have a citizen that wants to speak on this.
Let's hear what the citizen has to say.
Greg James? Clerk. Greg James?
I've shared with David my concerns with this topic, and I think I've talked with every one of you as well. I don't believe, as it's written, it's sufficient. I think David, I'm not challenging the ability of David to negotiate. I think he's a very good negotiator. The next county administrator may not be able to negotiate his or her way out of a paper bag. You don't set policy based on who's in the position. You set policy based on what's best. And there's nothing that triggers a negotiation. Theoretically, he could choose to negotiate everything and never take it to auction or a broker if he so chooses. And that may be the best decision, but there's nothing that triggers a requirement for appraisals, comps. How will you know when he brings that negotiation to you, that negotiated agreement, whether it's a good deal or not? Nothing requires appraisals, nothing requires comps. And those are my concerns to make sure we're getting the best dollar for our assets. Thank you.
Wouldn't we be requiring an appraisal and comps before you sell something?
Not usually on a sale. Normally that's on the buyer. Now we are, on the property that we have appraisals already on existing any property that we would sell. Like the property that will be in question soon, we already have appraisal on that, but normally we would not. Normally just go off of market value.
You want to add a ordinance that there has to be an appraisal ordered for the property before it's sold?
Right.
Just so we as commissioners will have something.
Because otherwise we have no idea.
I'll be happy to add that. It's a good idea.
Yeah. And I second my motion on that.
Okay, so Commissioner Merritt,
So I know, how will that work then?
I say the board ultimately has to approve the purchase, right?
Obviously, that's already a requirement. Do you want the appraisal before it's put up first? Because this is just putting something up for sale and bringing a potential offer back to the board.
I would say before it comes before the board.
Here's the problem with putting something up for sale. I'm putting on my private hat. Unless I get my appraisal for this, that's the problem with government, everybody knows it.
Well, not
So you lose your competitiveness to increase, to get the higher value for your property.
like I said, as long as it's before it comes before the board. It can be after it's negotiated, that's fine. Just so like Chuck said, we have something
Okay.
Joe Blow citizen says,
As long as it's not required.
you gave that property, yeah, that's fine.
Because we gotta have that ability to, in other words, we get stuck every time.
I understand. As long as it comes, it's before we vote on it.
Prior to it coming to the board, yes.
That doesn't work in this ordinance, though, then. We're going to have to bring you back something completely different, because there's no way to work, this section of the code is marketing property for sale. It's not a requirement for bringing a contract back to the board, so we can pull this and bring something totally new back, or you guys can approve this and we can bring another amendment back to a different code section. But as far as adding that appraisal requirement, it's not going to fit in section 2.
So if we approve this tonight as written, someone will bring back the appropriate change to the purchase side of the code where it comes before the board.
Yeah, we can, or we may even need to just add in a completely new section of the code. It just doesn't, it's not going to fit here, and it wasn't advertised this way, so.
I'm fine going ahead with it. I'm not going to forget about adding the appraisal in there.
As long as that appraisal comes in.
Yeah, I agree. Mike, you are just going as is?
Yeah.
Fine, I'll change it back to those appraisal. As is.
Will you repeat your motion one more time?
The original motion was just to adopt the public hearing and adopt the ordinance amending section 2.303 of the code retaining the disposition of county property.
Okay,
With no modifications.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
But I do expect there to come something back later addressing the appraisal issue. Just to be clear, so if somebody comes up to me and says, y'all gave that man that property, or woman, that property, I could say, no, here's what the appraisal is, here's what they paid for it. Then everything's clear and out in the open.
Well, that way when it comes to you for the board, if we do have a price, the best price we got was under appraised value, at least y'all have that knowledge.
Maybe it'll be above appraised value. Then we can pat ourselves on the back.
I just don't want to put us in a situation of,
I understand.
yeah.
I understand about it's public record as soon as we work out
Public
the
record,
record.
sometimes that's a problem when it comes to selling stuff.
Gotcha.
Trying to get the best dollar for it.
Gotcha.
Number 3, this item's been tabled until October 18th, correct?
Correct.
Alrighty, now to move into awards and presentations. Would Ned Nobles please come to the podium?
Good evening, Commissioners and staff. I'm Ned Nobles, Project Manager for ESG. I run the county-owned utilities for y'all and officed out at the wastewater plant, currently Otter Creek, towards Sopchoppy. And I wanted to make y'all aware of one of the assets here in Waculla County is Scout Troop 5. And we recently had Mason Doe, one of the Eagle Scout candidates, do his Eagle Service Project out at the wastewater treatment plant. He installed 3 bat houses. We have pictures on the boards, trying to reintroduce the bat population out there. We lost them back in 2017 when we started construction. They were housed in some of the power pole conduit that was removed. And so that is the cheapest and most efficient way to control the bug population out there, and anybody that lives and works out there much appreciates that. But I wanted to let y'all meet Mason Doe, and we brought one of the plaques that were put up on the bat houses so that y'all could see that. If y'all have any questions for Mason?
Good job.
Good job, Mason. Stay right there so I can, you did such a great job, Ned. You took my job away from me tonight. So I want to get a presentation of this.
Make her squat down. She's pretty tall.
Turn around right here to this guy. What we're going to do right here. Let's flip flop.
close to the picture. There we go. Ready? Okay. Good job. Thank you.
You don't want to get your picture made tonight? Okay, next, could I please have Avery Hurst to the podium, who happens to be the son of our librarian.
A little biased.
She's a little biased, as she should be.
Avery restored this beautiful pergola for us at the library. This pergola was originally in the front of the library. When I did the research, it looked like we had two, so we only had the one, so it's really special that it was salvaged. It was in shambles when he started out there, and you can see we got the concrete poured, so now it's ADA compliant, so anybody can access it and use it, and it's getting a lot of use, and we just couldn't be any prouder as the library and library staff, and absolutely appreciate his hard work and the work of all of our scouts in Troop 5.
Perfect. You going to stand by too?
Get up here, Robin.
She's a little bossy.
Bill and Dave and whoever else is Boy Scouts. Why am I holding your pistol? Henry. Okay. Thank you, Henry. Good to see you.
Good job, gentlemen.
All righty, we're going to move right on to consent.
Consent. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. There were no consent items pulled for discussion. We're going to move right on into general business.
It is my honor, Ms. Chairman, to request board approval of a letter of concurrence for the Florida Department of Health's appointment of Tanya Hobby as the Waculla County Health Department Administrator.
Second. I was making sure Randy was paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
Need a second, Commissioner? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Would you like to step up here, ma'am?
Don't let Quincy bully you, Tanya. You don't have to.
I'd just like to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to be the health officer here in Wacolli County.
Glad to have you. You earned it.
Glad to have you.
We didn't give you
Wonderful.
anything. You earned it. That's right.
Moving on to request board approval.
Request board approval of memorandum of understanding between the county and Tallahassee Professional Firefighters Local 2339 of the International Association of Firefighters, amending Article 14.2 of the collective bargaining agreement.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Might want to explain what this is about.
This is the bargaining agreement that allows for increases. Anytime we go outside of the norm, we have to have a bargaining agreement for increases.
And we raised their,
Yes. A increase. Significantly, yes.
to the budget.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Number 12. We voted. That's Randy.
Don't cross Quincy, Dave.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an item we're requesting that the board approve a resolution to accept a warranty deed and bill of sale for certain real property and a lift station and associated utility infrastructure associated with the Palmetto subdivision.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No, passes 4-0.
Number 13, to request board approval of the lease agreement between Sunshine Bay Properties LLC and the county for the county's use of the parking lot area of Panacea Plaza.
So moved. Second. This should be a pretty big improvement for downtown Panacea.
And Mr. Allen Bird is here as well if you have any questions.
This is, basically, we're just taking it over, we'll do some repairs to it, but it gives us the use of the...
It's a win-win for both of us.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. Alan, do you want to say something to your Kathy while you're here? No? Okay. You're welcome. Moving on to planning and zoning.
Thank you. The first item, Madam Chair, is application FP 2107. This is an application for a final plat for a 27-lot residential subdivision, Hammocks Phase 2. The subject property is about 11.47 acres, located east of the Hammocks Phase 1 subdivision on Songbird Avenue. In accordance with Section 24.01 of the County Code, each commissioner member needs to disclose any contact you may have received from interested parties regarding this application.
None.
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 If there's anyone here who is going to provide any information on this application, please stand up to be sworn, including the applicant. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank
Wish
you.
to approve.
Second.
Summer, everything good?
Everything's good.
So, Summer, this is a final plat from a development that was approved 3 years ago.
Around,
Longer than that.
yeah, 2005, 2006.
Yeah, long time ago.
Long time ago.
This is parcel inside the town plan that's been proposed for years, and so there's, this is where we want to have development, and this is, so I'll be voting for it.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Done with discussion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. Number 15.
Thank you. This is another application for final plat. This is application 2110. This is a final plat for a 3-lot residential subdivision known as the Dunlap Homestead. The subject property contains 6.43 acres and is located at 453 Ace High Status Road. In accordance with the Wakulla County Code, Section 24.01, please disclose any ex parte communications.
None.
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 If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information on this application, including the applicant, please stand up to be sworn. Please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is basically just making things legal that are already in place, right?
That's correct. There's 3 homes existing there, and they do qualify for the family homestead provisions for immediate family members.
Glad we adopted that several years ago.
Yes, you've been very...
Said it was that. Mine. Came out of Smith Creek.
That was me.
Came out of Smith
That was
Creek.
me there.
Uh-huh. I remember it.
You remember everything, right?
That's right.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 4-0. Number 16.
Scroll on, hold on.
Sorry.
This is an application for a change of zoning. This is application 2117. This is a change of zoning from RR1 and Ag to LDR on 107.5 roughly acres. This land is located on the north side of Shadeville Road, east of Trice Lane. If there is any ex parte communications, please disclose them.
I think I talked to the applicant maybe a while ago about it.
I have to.
Just the applicant?
Mr. Parrish.
Okay.
I have not.
None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information regarding this application, please stand up to be sworn. please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Yes, this change of zoning request is to change zoning from RR1 and agriculture to LDR, the Crawfordville Low Density Residential. The maximum proposed density for this property could be 5 units to the acre under the existing land use designation of suburban transitioning. However, through that comp plan amendment process, the applicant did indicate that they would only be seeking 325 units on this property. Staff would note that a preliminary plat application has been submitted. It is under review. The plat does contain 325 units as currently proposed. The proposed application is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the Crawfordville Town Plan, and therefore staff is recommending option 1 for approval.
Wish to approve.
I second this with Mr. Parrish, agree that you're going to stick to this plan. You know, we talked about this and you know, I understand the town plan within 5, but I mean, I know that you put it to plat and that's what you said you're going to do, so I'm second to do that.
The site plan that's been submitted is the plan.
We can't make that a condition of approval, but
I understand, but you know,
I
have my conversation with him, you know, that he agreed that this was what he would do.
So I have a motion and a second.
So I've been against this for, you know, I like where the project is, but I think we're going too fast. We need to slow down, and this is just adding more construction and more development and more people, and we haven't got an idea of what we've already approved is going to do to our county.
this will also exit through the hammocks, right?
That's correct. It will
That's
intersect.
why when Ben platted that, he intentionally dead-ended that one main road into that property, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I do have Mr. Colbert here.
Available answer.
Okay, and Mr. Gibson?
Ray Gibson, 444 Shadeville Road, Crawfordville. Commissioners, I come before you again on this issue asking that you reconsider what appears to the reasonable observer as a foregone conclusion. I remind you that the people have entrusted you with their power in hopes that you will demonstrate restraint in your choices, including your desires to please the well-heeled interests that constantly buzz in your ears. Your decisions have consequences that will outlive your time in office. Today you can choose to redirect a project in order to create a desirable neighborhood that might appreciate significantly in value over the coming years, or approve yet another overcrowded subdivision for which present infrastructure and support services are inadequate. Higher density will serve to enrich only a few right now and will certainly not translate to the long-term enhancement of county revenues. Any new tax dollars generated will inevitably have to be spent on expanding services and not on enhancing services, as evidenced by your current budget conundrum. Please don't try to deflect blame toward town plans or community disinterest in an attempt to sidestep your responsibilities today. Small public turnouts and few voices raised in opposition to the task before you evidence not our apathy, but your own intractability. It is evident to many that your minds are made up before any citizen is allowed to offer you any perspective. In spite of that awareness, I'm going to tell you again what I think. This proposed development on Shadeville Road is wrong. It will unalterably disfigure the character of our community through inordinately dense construction on insufficient-sized lots. Again, I say, you are writing a blank check to this developer that will permit him and or his heirs or assigns to build up to 5 units per acre. Both you and he will have endeavored to placate my opposition by foisting a sufficient assurance of his good faith and undocumented and unenforceable promise that he has made to refrain from exceeding the construction of more than 3 units per acre. Simple math demonstrates this promise to be patently disingenuous, given the 325-unit proposal that you now have before you. as one could only maximally fit 321 units on 107 acres in keeping with the 3 units per acre paradigm. Furthermore, a figure of 321 units would not provide for the allocation of even 1 inch of ground for the necessary streets, drainage, utilities, and stormwater mitigation measures a development of this size will require. Please don't willfully ignore the glaring deception of these false promises or participate in the deceptions yourselves. I have but one citizen who has come before you today asking you to stand up for us and exercise the power of the people for our good by rejecting this overcrowded site plan and sending it back for redrawing with fewer units to meet the 3 units per acre deal you have purportedly brokered. You should not need the approbation of a large crowd to encourage you to act on behalf of the greater good. Rather, you should act in the people's best interest, even better yet, especially when no one else is looking.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Is this going to also access on Shadeville Road?
Yes.
Shadeville and cuts through the Hammond.
Well, that's on
Yeah, on the backside.
Wacolli area. I was asking about right here.
Yeah.
All right, you got one more, Gil Damon.
Hey, y'all. That was good. I just wanted to, I don't know, I just learned a lot of things about this development, and I feel like some pretty intense claims are just made, and I would just like to emphasize, if it is true that there's not enough space to adequately meet the promise made here by Mr. Parrish, I'd like y'all to take a moment to discuss that and think a little more about it. So yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion and a second? Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, he's building how many units?
The plat indicates 325 lots, along with open space areas as well.
So these lots are not third of an acre lots,
No.
they're smaller.
Correct.
Slightly.
They have to be.
They have to be.
They have infrastructure. And
You have the infrastructure, you have the roads, you have, so they're...
standard stuff.
So, yeah, that'd be similar to the stuff up in
I don't think we have anything comparable.
Hutchins.
No, this is the first, isn't this the first 3 units per acre? If it goes into
More
that.
dense than up there.
It's slightly more dense than Chadwick and Palmetto.
Right.
And Chadwick and Palmetto just look too close to me, so, okay. It's just, I can't agree with this in any shape, form, or fashion. I couldn't agree with any time it's come for us, and we're moving too fast, and we need to slow down and catch our breath.
Dr. Kessler would call us out a pause for planning. I remember it well.
Pause for planning would be a really good way to say it.
Remember it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Passes 3-1. I'm going to move into Commissioner agenda items, and this coincidentally is my item. This is a request for board approval of a proclamation declaring October 2021 as Manufacturing Month in Walcolle County. And if I have Desiree Gorman in the audience, who is with Taos Community College, would like to come up this time and read the proclamation, please.
Yes. Motion to approve if you don't make her read it.
Please, thank you. I wholeheartedly, finally agree with Commissioner Merritt. Like you, Quincy.
Well, let's see what we can do about that, Desiree.
Okay.
Are you going to amend your motion? Because we still don't have a second.
That'll ask.
Okay, all right.
No, just kidding. Okay, so, as,
Hold on.
Let's see, read it.
Hold on, we don't have a second yet for Randy to,
A motion to approve.
okay, I need a second for Desiree to read the proclamation.
That wasn't my motion, it was motion to approve the proclamation. Second.
Thank you, Chuck. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Desiree.
Make Quincy read it.
do you want me to read?
I would say make Quincy read it.
I really love Quincy.
We all do.
Very much so. So as Commissioner Messer-Smith mentioned, I am Desiree with TCC, and we are looking to declare October 2021 as Manufacturing Month in Wakulla County. And I'm going to read this rather long proclamation. Whereas National Manufacturing Month has been encouraged by Tallahassee Community College and its partners as the appropriate way to highlight the necessity of advanced manufacturing to the economic vitality of communities across the state of Florida. And whereas each day as many as 4.6 million manufacturing jobs go unfilled across the United States. In Florida, approximately 9,000 are going unfilled daily because of a lack of skilled workers. And whereas Tallahassee Community College, specifically through the college's Division of Workforce Development, Advanced Manufacturing Training Center, programs, and the Division of Business, Industry, and Technology, Associate in Science, Engineering, Technology degree, and college credit certificate programs provide numerous training opportunities for students, incumbent workers, and employers through Gadsden, Leon, and Wacolli counties. And whereas the economic development organizations of Gadsden, Leon, and Wacolli counties and the college's Division of Workforce Development, Kim B. Williams Advanced Manufacturing Training Center, work closely to bring together education leaders and manufacturers to address the skilled labor shortage the industry faces, engage with our community to build awareness, work to create and ensure the ongoing sustainability of the manufacturing industry, and create the next generation of qualified manufacturing employees. And whereas Manufacturing Day, October 1, 2021, has been recognized as an effective way to expand knowledge about the value manufacturing brings to Florida's economy and to showcase the high-skilled, high-paid manufacturing jobs needed by the industry. And whereas Tallahassee Community College's Division of Workforce Development, Kim B. Williams Advanced Manufacturing Training Center, efforts to promote Manufacturing Day and will provide a month-long schedule of events and activities that engage local high schools, community residents, and employers alike regarding the importance of the manufacturing sector in our community. Now, therefore, we, the Wacolli County Board of County Commissioners, does join Tallahassee Community College in observing October 21 as Manufacturing Month and October 1st, 2021 as Manufacturing Day, and urge all local residents of Wacolli County to join in recognizing the value of manufacturing employers and employees and the vital role they serve in our community, state, and region.
Absolutely riveting.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you, Desiree. County Attorney. Did we vote on that? Yes, we did. Yep.
I have a vote.
Choose a vote.
Did she?
We did.
Yeah. No, I don't have anything further.
Okay. County Administrator.
Yes. Again, I want to thank you, commissioners, for voting on it, on the budget. I want to make sure that not only just I want to thank all the employees of the county and everything that they've done, both constitutionals, the librarian, Louie, Mike, Brandy, Summer, Jessica, Debbie, they do phenomenal work every day, and I put them through hell. And
They told me.
and but you know they're loyal to the citizens of this county beyond reproach. They do the right thing every day and the right decisions, and y'all made the right decisions, and now it's a big day for our county, and we appreciate the citizens stepping up to the plate as well. But we thank you, and I mainly thank the employees because they're what makes this engine run, and they do a fantastic job. And the reason we have the amenities that we have and as well kept as they are, and the plans that we have going in the future, which I think everybody will be very pleased at, is due to their efforts. And Michelle is here as well. Due to their efforts. And so anyway, I just wanted to thank them, and with that, I'm done.
Okay, Jess, any more citizens to be heard?
And Kelly.
Eugene Watkins.
Eugene Watkins, Crawfordville. So we had three of us to stood up here about impact fees and didn't generate any conversation. So I guess my question is, when will we talk about impact fees? We just heard we're approving 325 houses. Man, what an opportunity to get some impact fee money. And Robert Parrish, and I think it was Gene Cutchins, I actually went to a meeting they had one time, and I asked them about impact fees, and they told me I should talk to you. They didn't really have anything against it. So I think, if we could get their support to help pay for infrastructure, why don't we do this? Mike, you mentioned you don't want to see us in the same place we are right now with the situation we're in. Impact fees, what a tool. And
So discuss it before you came up, so.
okay, well, great, that's fantastic. 'Cause I was wondering where that went after three of us talked about it.
Let's talk about it.
And impact fees, I know another thing that comes up, I've heard it from the county administrator, is we'll say something about impact fees and we'll say we can't use it for that. I realize some people may even stand up here and say we could use impact fees for that, maybe there's some technicality. We can use impact fees where people discuss, and then maybe in one place, okay, we can't spend it there, but it'll offset where we can spend it, it'll offset some money that we can spend over here. So let's keep that in mind and not just be negative about the impact fees. Oh, and then I know you've been talking about the regressive tax, and the only thing I would add, y'all said that low-income people could get some help. Randy, maybe you could volunteer. So let's get that information out there, because I know people that need that help.
We try.
Okay, well, let's make an announcement right now. Where can they go? What's the limit on, what they can make? And I'll also get some information from you, because I know I got a friend that could use the help.
What's the cutoff?
And I appreciate it.
Cutoff was the end of June, but it's an annual thing, so it'll
Opens in
back up in January.
January.
And to qualify, you have to be, what,
The income limits are set by HUD, so we'll have to...
roughly $18,000 to $20,000 a year, something like that?
It really depends on the size of the family and
Yeah, I understand, but
Okay, well, I think we're keeping that a big secret here, and I'm proud of y'all for that.
I'm not trying to keep it a secret.
Can we advertise it in the paper?
We advertise it.
It's advertised, we take it to senior
Senior
citizens.
citizens.
Okay, senior citizen, just because you're a senior doesn't mean you're poor. But let's,
Give us a break.
but anyway, newspapers, just any place you see.
It is advertised heavily.
Alrighty, moving right along, discussion issues by commissioners.
I want to thank
Commissioner Merritt.
Mr. Hess for telling me that they're going to go look at Forest Road 348 tomorrow, that big mud hole. I appreciate that. We looked at tomorrow. My time's up.
Impact fees. I want to clarify some stuff that y'all had brought up, and I'm going to be bringing up as an agenda item on the impact fees, just to let you know. Number one, impact fees would not have took care of what we had to do tonight, so I want to make that clear. But I want Brandy to discuss some things to get some information that was not necessarily right tonight about impact fees. So if you would, Brandy, will you clarify some of the comments?
Yes, the impact fees are found by the legislature to be necessary to fund infrastructure due to growth, but there's a second component to that, and it's known as a dual nexus. You have to tie any kind of use of impact fees back to an increase in population. Any project that you spend impact fees on must increase your capacity, and it must be capital in nature, so it has to be over $5,000. So I had sent an email to a citizen about the 10%. I was using that as an example. If you could show that your population had increased 10% and you had $1 million project, you could fund 10% of it with impact fees, so $100,000. That 10% is not in the statute. That was just an example that specifically correlated to if you could show that population increase. But it cannot be used for salaries and wages, utilities, office supplies. It has to increase capacity, and it has to be infrastructure related, $500,000 or more.
But an easy one for, I don't want to step on what you're talking about, but Parks and Rec is an easy one to show an increase in capacity, right?
Yes.
You had a ball field, you had something, that's easy. Roads, not so much. I mean, the roundabouts, I'm sure, could be justified, but I asked about paving dirt roads, I told you can't pave dirt roads with impact fee money, because that theoretically doesn't increase the capacity of the road.
That's correct.
That's correct. So, and it is extra hard to spend it in corrections, because the only way you can show increased capacity is to add on to the jail, right? You can't use it to fix the roof, you can't use it you have to increase capacity. And the library is pretty easy, because you can buy computers for it and stuff like that. Increasing workstations is what I'm saying.
public access computers.
Public access.
Yeah, public access.
Yes.
computers, yeah. So, I mean, I've said 100 times before, I'm not so adverse to Parks and Rec and the library impact fees, but
I just want to clarify some of that, which I know I talked to y'all, I said I'd bring it up as an agenda item, I would, and get to the budget, but I want to make no mistake. Impact fees would not help us where we're at today. Losing that jail bed revenue and the raises alone was increase in our lowering tax, just that alone. So,
Yeah, but if we had impact fees, money's fungible, and so we could have used some of that money to pay expenses that we've had to use from general fund.
we're going to find out. I'm going to make a suggestion.
what exact general fund expense could impact fees? What exact?
We don't have any capital in that budget.
We don't fund capital in the general fund. We use MSBU money. We can't offset it with that. So,
We don't fund any capital.
general fund capital project?
We use 1 cent sales tax.
That's not general fund.
That's not general fund.
Yeah, but that 1 cent sales tax can go for the library, and those kind of things can be used, and
They're right, but you said general fund.
And general fund and what we did tonight, the budget, the general fund budget had, even if we had $1 million excess, impact fee would have made no difference tonight.
If you said it offset 1 cent sales tax expenditures, I'd agree with you 100%. But it does not impact general fund spending.
My point about all this was let you know that it was going to be brought, and it would not have mattered on the budget tonight. That's my thing. So, I'm willing to do a study. We'll talk about this when I bring it up as an agenda item.
Excellent.
well, it'll come forward, and we'll discuss it then. What I actually would like to talk about tonight is the town plan. And we went through and did architectural standards, and then I go by and I look at the Hungry Howie's building. And that's, by definition, an ugly building. And so, I'm not sure what their final plan is, okay, because I haven't seen that. But that's not, we did the architectural standards to get rid of solid metal-faced buildings, and now we're getting solid concrete buildings. And so I would like to expand the architectural plan, the architectural standards to the whole town plan, because as Summer tells me, the Hungry Howie's is not in the core area.
And brick, isn't it? Are they putting brick on it? I saw the brick. Yeah, the brick, pallets of brick are there. They are bricking it. It's still $100, but it's a brick.
They're going to have some facade improvements coming forward.
Oh, I hope so, because it is
Kind of square.
But I mean, but in the tree ordinance, we have a tree ordinance, and they have some really valuable trees on that parcel that if they saved them, they would have saved a lot of money in their
We have a landscape ordinance that encourages and incentivizes protection of existing trees and landscaping, but does not specifically protect.
And it failed miserably there, because those were the most valuable trees as far as the tree ordinance goes, and they still said, let's clear cut and move on, okay? And that's where I have a problem, is that there are some really nice trees out in the county, and we need to, where they're occurring, we need to be focused on protecting those trees. Sometimes you have to get rid of it because of what you're building, but sometimes you can work around them, and I would really like to see that.
I think Tractor Supply saved that big live oak right in front of their property
They did.
just to get a bunch of landscape credits.
Yes.
So at least in that case, it did work.
It didn't work, but if, we need to figure out some way to make it more effective. And how much work would it take to expand the architectural standards to the whole town plan?
That would be a relatively simple amendment to the administrative regulation if the board chooses to move that direction.
Well, we got 4 here tonight. Would you be interested in considering that?
Bring it back as an agenda item. We don't need to vote on that.
Well,
You're going to have to work a little bit, Chuck. I'm going to vote to direct staff to bring it back. You want to bring it back?
Why not vote, have staff bring it back?
And that's Randy, you're gonna have to work on this. See you working, Chuck.
Just to piggyback.
Remember this, Randy, when it comes back around.
What you should have said is my agenda item will be to direct staff to come back.
That's what it would be.
There you go. But I don't want to vote on it tonight. Ralph's not here, you know.
So you want the landscape ordinance?
Yeah, voting on it tonight, we're just telling staff to bring it back as an ordinance, and she says it's really simple, and so
I
that's...
mean, Ralph may be violently against it for all
That's fine, but that's when it comes back to us, okay, that's when he can make his argument against it. So,
Is that easy? I know you tell me all...
Relative, we are swamped, and if you gave me direction today, I'd be lying if I said I'm gonna start it this week or even next.
and that's why, it keeps pushing it out. If she gives her direction today, eventually, it'll get on our list to do. So,
What direction, could you repeat the direction that you want
to expand architectural standards outside the quarry into the commercial area of the town plan.
I'd really like to see the ramifications of that before. Let me talk to Summer. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen this board do something and then there's huge unintended consequences.
Well, we're just...
Let me talk to Summer.
It wouldn't be implemented until,
I might talk to her for 10 minutes and say, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. So let me talk to her first. Maybe next meeting you'll have a vote.
you guys write the agenda items.
I'm just as lazy as you are, Chuck. Where are you coming from, brother?
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, I don't have anything further to discuss. I need a second for the motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Good job.
I was being funny. Good job, He's always telling me what to do.